32:24.
Jacob's wrestling with this strange nighttime visitor is one of the most haunting and mysterious episodes in the entire Bible. So who was it? Was it an angel? Was it Jacob wrestling with his own soul?
While in the Hebrew Bible, angels have a many-faceted relationship with human beings, their connection to God Himself is equally a source of controversy. In the book of Job, the Scriptures provide a startling vision of the relationship of angels to God. Surprisingly, scholars believe it reflects the earthly power structure of the time.
In the ancient world, God is understood in the image of a king, and one of the things that underscores a king's power is how many underlings there are to carry out the king's commands. There's a certain tension in the way people think about God. God's awesomeness, mystery, reserve, and dignity. Angels bear the presence of God, and yet they seem to be a little bit less austere, a little bit less transcendent.
In the book of Job, within this court of heavenly beings, we meet for the very first time one of the most fascinating and mystifying of all the angels in the Hebrew Bible. His name is Ha-Satan, meaning the accuser. For centuries to follow, the world would know him as the dreaded figure Satan. But this first appearance of Satan in the Bible is not as an enemy of God, but unexpectedly as his devoted servant.
The Satan figure is not an evil figure at all. The Satan's role is to go to and fro on the earth and to try to spot any disloyalty or falsity amongst the people on earth.
With divine permission, Satan tests Job's character by killing his children. Then afflicting him with poverty and disease, to no avail. But Job stubbornly refuses to curse the Almighty. Strangely, as if echoing the suffering of Job himself, the Jewish people were about to fall victim to terrible persecution and conquest. It is the 6th century before the Common Era. The Jewish people have been condemned to slavery in Babylon. And yet they cling to their cherished beliefs and long for salvation from their suffering. Why has their God seemingly forsaken them? In their crisis of faith, the Jewish people turn to their belief in angels. For it is their hope that in this, their time of trial, these miraculous, compassionate beings will not abandon them. In the early portions of the Hebrew Bible, angels are shadowy, ill-defined figures. However, during this terrible period of need, they will undergo a mysterious transformation. For among the Jews, literature now emerges which vividly depicts angels as heroic protectors of a chosen people. In the scriptures written during the exile, angels become beings of flesh and blood, more tangible and more immediate than before. They acquire their own names and their own distinctive personalities. In the book of Daniel, which describes this troubled period, the angel Gabriel is pictured with startling vividness.
I looked up, and I saw a man clothed in linen, with a belt from Uphaz around his waist. His body was like a barrel, his face like lightning, his eyes like flaming torches. Daniel 10:5.
In this story, set in Babylon, the young visionary Daniel is a favorite of the king. But Daniel, a Jew in exile, has jealous enemies in court who trick the king into sentencing Daniel to certain death.
The king said to Daniel, "May your God, whom you faithfully serve, deliver you." Then the king gave the command, and Daniel was thrown into the den of lions. Daniel 6:16.
The next day, to the king's amazement, Daniel is still alive in the lion's den. Daniel's astonishing explanation: an angel had come and closed the lions' mouths, protecting him. For the Jews in exile, what was the significance of this story?
The lions seemed to obey the presence of the angel which was there to protect Daniel and just behaved like little pussycats. Their jaws were shut. I mean, you didn't hear anything but a meow. They're not only protecting Daniel, but letting the people in exile know through that story that God was with them in the exile, protecting them from the Babylonians.
For the Jews living under oppression in Babylon, as for Daniel himself, a belief in angels provides a powerful reassurance that no crisis is too impossible for divine intervention. During the period of exile, as angels become increasingly important to the Jewish people, they acquire perhaps their most extraordinary characteristic. For surprisingly, it is at this time of profound spiritual crisis that in the scriptures angels are endowed with their wings. Seeking the reason for this magical attribute, scholars have been drawn to an unlikely source. Did the spark of inspiration for angels' wings come not from Jewish tradition, but from the gods of the Babylonians, who were holding the Jews captive? By the year 538 BCE, after their ordeal in Babylon, the Jews at last returned to the Holy Land. With their faith in God seriously shaken, they seek spiritual renewal. Out of this quest emerges a mysterious new literature known as the Apocrypha. Here, Jews longing for spiritual sustenance find inspiration in stories of angels. According to the Apocrypha and other mystical texts of the time, angels are endowed with extraordinary powers. They are described as loyal guardians, known as those who never sleep. Other angels prophetically warn humans of their impending death. Still others offer their own prayers on behalf of deserving human beings. And yet, of